I'll dive right into it. My name is Chris Cooley. I'm a local Rochester entrepreneur, proud supporter of RocGrowth, and MC of most of these events. If you've been to one in the past, if not, welcome. Thank you for being here. Richard, do you have anything to add? It's sort of like the intro to this before the official intro to this.
Well, welcome. In the past, when we did this in close proximity before we went virtual, and RocGrowth was formed about 6 years ago. We had asked people with a show of their hands to indicate if it's their first time attending an event. I think that's hard to do now, but welcome all those newcomers and welcome to all those seasoned pros who've been a member of this RocGrowth community. This is an open community. We're agile. We're not bound by any restrictions. We're not even a 501c3. We're about empowering the new Rochester and through building community with transparency. We also are committed to sharing stories of our community's great innovators and entrepreneurs. And I know we have many years of material ahead of us. I think it's almost infinite. And also we try to instigate or cause creative collisions, just that human interaction, that social chemistry that's so important in a community to be vibrant. And we've also adopted several years ago a position where everything we do is informed by promoting greater equality of race, class, gender, and age. And I think the recent events have highlighted the importance of that effort for everyone. I'm going to go shift now to the interview. So if by chance anyone is registered to use social media, shoot this out, promote RocGrowth to your friends, your family, and whatever, and help us build community. And now I'm going to welcome Jay McHarg. I'm fortunate to call him a friend. And I think we in our community are fortunate to have him. Jay is someone I categorize, like myself, as a transplant, someone who moved here and probably didn't necessarily realize how you can get smitten with this place or stuck, whatever adjective you might want to use. So welcome, Jay, and thank you for taking time out of your day. Jay is CEO of AeroSafe Global. And what do you do? What does AeroSafe do? Give us your 3 to 5 minute pitch.
First, thanks for having me, Richard. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me, for the company, for the community. I am smitten with this place. It's a great place to live. And I appreciate what you're doing for all of us. But AeroSafe provides cold chain solutions for biopharma companies. Essentially, we build custom packaging materials, logistics, and outsourced services that allow them to safely, efficiently, and sustainably deliver their medicines, vaccines, tissues to patients around the world.
Okay, why is that important?
Well, the funny thing is with COVID, we're getting a lot of attention right now because people didn't really realize how important cold chain was. And then once Pfizer says they're going to ship at -70, the world freaks out and says, how do we do that? We've been doing that for a long time, about 15 years, in fact. Little history, for those that don't know us, we were founded by a brilliant physicist, Robert Mendenhall, here in Rochester. And he developed the first installation we have. It was really a platform technology. We were a technology company 20 years ago, and they have all kinds of amazing applications that they were going after. The challenge was it was expensive, very expensive to make, very expensive to build a factory to produce this stuff. And we couldn't get the costs down to make it sort of mass market available. I joined a little over 10 years ago, and I was pretty naive. I thought, we just have to build a bigger factory and then we'll get the cost down, and then BASF will help us out and buy us, and we'll just make this insulation all over the place. It was not that easy. So we struggled. We struggled until we decided to sort of turn things around. And I became CEO about 8 years ago. And the first thing I did was ask my friend and advisor, Larry Glazier, who I should bring in to help. And he recommended Steve McCluskey and Gene Baldino. And if anybody knows these guys, they know what value they bring. Again, all Rochester, top-notch executives that helped us really add structure, discipline, organization around what we were doing. And a year later, we developed the service model that we have today. So we don't sell our product anymore. We rent it. And we joke, we landed on Reuse Island and burnt the ships back then. We had to be all in. It's too hard to get the boxes back. We had to figure it out. And 90% return rates of failure. It had to be 95 plus. Today we're at 98. And I would argue that our services are as value or potentially more value than the technology itself, because it makes it affordable, it makes it accessible by all. And so we design custom solutions. We wrap that around reverse logistics. We have additional services now, like delivering the box at the right temperature at the manufacturing site. We help our customers ship to doctors' offices, patients at home, 3PLs. We operate in about 95 countries. And so we are more of a service company than anything else. And the biggest thing we did was, as much as I love the technology and fell in love with it and why I joined the company and moved to Rochester, we changed our focus from loving the technology to loving the customer and listening to what they needed. And they needed services, and they needed all kinds of other technology that we didn't have. And so I'll stop there for a second. It's a little brief history of how we pivoted and became the company we are now.
Yeah, that's great, because I do want to touch further upon the origin story. And I think I might have been introduced to the company before you ever were.
You were.
In the early 2000s, when I would describe it as a science experiment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Robert was at Wesleyan University in Connecticut and somehow ended up maybe through a family connection in Rochester.
That's right. Yeah. Brilliant science. It still is. I mean, the insulation they developed back then is still used by NASA today to ship everything to space station and back. Like, they can choose whatever they want. The technology is amazing, but it's really expensive. And you can't expect a pharma company to spend $300 on a box that's used one time. So we just eliminated that and said, well, we'll build it. And as long as we get it back, like now we can use it 50 times. So amortizing that cost, we can invest more in the product. We can offer better services and so forth.
You own the patent. I mean, Aerosafe Global has patented technology, correct?
Yep. On not just the boxes, not just the technology of the insulation, but now on the services that also. The reverse logistics is extremely difficult. The industry standard's about 50% return rate, and we're at 98, 99. The funny thing is, yeah, it benefits us because it doesn't cost as much, but it benefits the customer because now they pay a lot less. We're competing with styrofoam. And the benefit that I didn't see coming that is enormous is the consumer benefit, the patient, the doctor. They're thrilled. They love the fact they're not throwing this stuff away every time. And it's actually less expensive for them to leave it out in the snowbank and have me pick it up than for them to throw it away. And so everybody wins in this equation.
So I recall early on when they were pitching for maybe their first round, even in a seed round, they had several applications, and I don't recall any of them associated with the pharma industry. They were talking about insulation for the trucking industry, the reefers.
Yeah.
How did you stumble? Were you involved already? I believe in 2008, you became acquainted with the company when you...
They had one customer, ABH, still a customer today. Advanced Biohealing, now it's Organogenesis, shipping skin tissue on dry ice at -70, even back then. But yeah, they did a great job. They made an amazing box, but where the company needed to pivot was to make amazing solutions. So it's one thing to say, here's a bunch of insulation, tell us what you want. Well, pharma doesn't understand that stuff, and nor do they want to invest in it. They want to say, I have this vaccine that has to be kept this temperature. I need to last 10 days. And we go, got it. And then we get back to them with the solution and say, this is what you need. So it took some time to build those capabilities.
So I felt very warm feelings a moment ago when you referenced Larry Glazer. Let me just disclaim, I am not a family member. We spell those Glazers spell their last name differently than I spell my own, but I felt very blessed to have gotten to know him early on. And he was incredibly supportive of all startup entrepreneurs. And I think he's an iconic figure when I, try to think of what a healthy entrepreneurial ecosystem is. So
he was outstanding. He was just like you. He's very giving, understand. I mean, I had his cell phone number. He's Larry Glazer. Why is he giving that to me? Because someday I'll be big and I'll rent more space from him. No, but he really did care about the community. He was an unbelievable human being. Yeah.
Cool. So let's get into first of all, let's talk about you now and for a moment. And I knew you went to McGill. You were born and raised in Montreal, correct?
Born in Edmonton, and then spent the second half of sort of my childhood in Montreal. So very conflicted childhood.
Well, from a hockey standpoint.
That's right. Yeah. Oilers and Canadians. So it's, yeah.
Where was your allegiance?
My dad was from Montreal. He brainwashed me very young that Guy Lafleur was some sort of god, and he had a lot of disciples, Larry Robinson and such. But I was also growing up at the same time Gretzky was switching from the WHA to the NHL. And I remember seeing number 99 for the first time. Who's that? How could he wear 99? Like that's an insult. Dad's like, no, he can wear whatever number he wants. And so I was spoiled. It was great.
And then you chose to remain in Montreal and go to McGill. But I did not know until I just looked up your LinkedIn profile to remind myself that you were trained as an engineer, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and lived in Montreal, worked as an engineer, and then moved to Boston as an engineer, and then eventually went to business school there, and switched gears and got into financial services, and corporate finance strategy, and that's how I met some venture capitalists that were looking at this company, and I said, "This is incredible. I'd love to be a part of it." So that's how I ended up here.
And it's remarkable, as I was reflecting too on how many of our guests over the years, friends of mine who are running or founded successful companies, received an engineering degree as an undergraduate. Do you think there's a correlation?
For this situation, it helped. I mean, I'm not afraid of numbers. Technology's interesting. It helps with even the customers. I mean, it is a technical conversation when you get down to it after you peel back to say, how can you do this? And how do you qualify these solutions? And technically we have to qualify everything we do. And so it is pretty sophisticated, but so it doesn't hurt. I don't think it's necessary, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. And then, so you ended up remaining in Boston, working for a venture fund that had invested in Aerosafe, correct? At that time, it was American Aerogel.
No, actually, I was working for a financial service company. And then when I moved out here, I was helping an investment group with an investment in American Aerogel. So that happened simultaneously. Yeah.
You got to run the company.
Yeah. And I couldn't be luckier or happier. I mean, this is crazy. This is it's been quite a ride. It was rough in the beginning, but we can see I guess it's paid off so far.
So this makes me want to give the audience a sense of the magnitude of what's occurring on Buffalo Road on the west side of town. And I mean, it is public knowledge where you feel comfortable sharing how much capital you've raised.
Over 100 million, yeah.
over 100 million. Why don't we, why don't we highlight that when the naysayers say it's hard to raise capital in Rochester, right?
It's it's not bad, actually. I mean, I'm not saying all the money can come from Rochester, but the investors that I work with love the company in Rochester. It's got great employees, great work ethic, dedication, cost of living. I mean, we can talk about housing taxes some other time, but the cost of living here is reasonable compared to other parts of the country. So I would say it's a fantastic place to start a company, especially technology based. Rochester's got that history of, okay, if it's got technology, that's exciting. Let's learn it. Let's embrace it. Let's develop it. Let's build products. So it's been very beneficial to us. And I'll tell you that our investors are already saying, if there's anybody else in town that's like you, let us know.
So yeah, identify a couple of those investors that might benefit the audience. I mean, you have a strategic investor, correct?
Yeah. So Merck Ventures came in this last summer. And that's been outstanding because Merck was our customer before they were an investor, which is really unusual. Usually you get the investor first and then they go over to the commercial side of the business and say, hey, we've got this investment, you might want to look at it. This was the other way around, where the supply chain and operations folks said to the venture team at Merck, you should check this out. We want to invest in this company because they're going somewhere and we're helping them do so. So we might as well benefit in as well. The year before, we brought in Peloton Equity. It's a smaller healthcare focused private equity group near New York City. They're outstanding as well. Not big, but they've been doing it for 18 years and their network is unbelievable. So, you know, a couple of investors that have really been beneficial to us, smart, strategic, and again, just they like what we're doing here.
Great. And so you're on Buffalo Road. You're in a facility that had plenty of room. You came in, you've expanded there, correct? That was a Buckingham Properties facility.
Yeah.
You also have other locations. Do you want to tell us
Sure.
about these? Yeah.
Yeah, we're expanding here. I think we're up to 150,000 square feet or so, putting new offices in this summer. It's been great. Buckingham's been great. A real partner over the years. We also have a location in Reno. We have a partner location in Louisville, in Toronto, in Bremerhaven, Germany. And we need these spots to bring our boxes back to rebuild them back to new, to get them back out to the customer. We've recently partnered with another company that's very complementary. They don't have the same sort of technology or reusability, but they do have 10 other global sites around the rest of the world, and they're capable of doing what we do in the refurbishment. So that was critical to us supporting the pharma companies with the vaccine rollout globally. So combined, we have 15 global sites where we can support the customer with just about everything they need.
Super. Chris, just for a moment, are you receiving questions? Any questions? Because I'm not picking up one through the chat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's just the one question in the chat, but if people do have other questions, they can certainly send me a direct message or put them in the chat. I'll keep a running list and I'll text them over to you, Richard, or we can go over them soon.
So Jay, describe your workforce. You're on the west side of town. It's a grimy industrial area. It does have inhabitants. There are residents nearby, but you have obviously you're dealing with pharmaceutical companies at the highest level, but you're also manufacturing a material in a plant that's it could be toxic. Is that correct? Yeah.
Well, I would say that our production process is industrial, where we make the insulation itself. And I would define our location as central, actually. We're right in the middle. We're in the city limits. And, you know, everybody in the company loves it because, as they joke, you know, you're only 20 minutes away, no matter which direction you go. And the bus actually stops right out front. We have a lot of employees take the bus. So it's actually an ideal spot. So we have an industrial part, a chemical process that we use to make our proprietary insulation. But I would say most of the expansion has been in the refurbishment space, where we receive boxes back from all over the country and we break them down and rebuild them, send them back out. And so, yeah, no, it's a great location for what we do. 5 minutes from the airport, customers love it. They come flying into town, and I can't wait till the new offices are done though, because they're going to be nice. It'll feel like a pharma company when they walk in with all of the glass and the showcasing the engineering accomplishments and all of the testing and design they do. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I want to drill down a bit into Rochester and your observations about building this company here. Can we just get like workforce issues? There's so much, because what we're attempting to do at RocGrowth is reveal some of the truth. And there's a lot of falsehoods, I would suspect. You're able to raise money. You're able to build a successful company. It's not optics, right? And then there were discussions about workforce development. And I want the people who are in the economic development world or who care about these issues to actually hear from someone who's on the front line succeeding. So, address like how you build out a company with 150 people of, I'm sorry, these terms are outdated, a white collar and a blue collar workforce.
We're up to 200 now, actually. Here in Rochester, but it's a mix of everybody. So the holiday parties are fantastic. Like you said, it is very diverse, very fun. And the number one thing is you have to respect and appreciate what everybody's doing in the company. So we really work hard on making sure that everybody knows how important everybody else's job is as well. I would say that Rochester's it feels like a big town. I grew up in a small town and then I've lived in big cities. Rochester feels like a big town in the way that a couple of people and all of a sudden you have access to almost anybody you want. And it's fantastic for finding people. I think the one thing that we found a little challenging a few years ago was sometimes you have to move really fast when you're in a position like us. And the opportunities come and you have to jump at them. And you have to actually sacrifice some efficiencies for speed. And so one of the books that I had everybody read here was Blitzscaling. And it talked about how, you run fast and break things and do all this. Well, we can't let anything break. Our accuracy has to be 100%. But sometimes to deliver that solution that the customer needs on time and growing as much as we do, you've got to sacrifice efficiency a little bit. It can't be perfect all the time. And a lot of the people in Rochester, they, having grown up knowing Kodak, Xerox, processes are tight and systems are perfect. And so we had to break that mold a little bit, and that's not natural. And so we have to find the balance between when can we run fast and break a few things and have little fires going, nothing critical, versus when does it have to be perfect, like a process in manufacturing. And so I think it's easier for Silicon Valley to have this conversation because they're in software. Who cares if it breaks? They can fix it tomorrow. But we've tried to bring that entrepreneurial drive, that little like blitz scaling culture in here, and it's worked. It's fun. Once you embrace it, it's a little nutty, but it is something that I think helps. You're on mute, Richard.
There we go. I put myself on mute because this is the work from home mode. My dog started barking and the host has to unmute me if he wants to. Thank you. Sorry about that. So it must be fascinating to enter the offices of a pharmaceutical company, some of the largest companies in the world, they don't have as much margin for error, or they don't blitzkrieg or blitzscale. So that's, I mean, your story, I'm sure you have your own book one day when you have time. There's a series of questions that are starting to probe an issue that I wanted to bring up. I think this is the appropriate time. Shed some light on the cold chain and what's going on with the vaccine. I know you are working on the front lines, and would you mind sharing, to the extent you feel comfortable disclosing, anything that might be insightful or interesting to us?
Right. I can't share everything I want to, but let me share what I can. We are delivering solutions, and so it's fun because we're seeing it all the way from the factory in bulk shipments that are going out to the pharmacies and the hospitals in the States. We're fortunate enough to be working in the US and EU, Switzerland, Japan, and various other countries. Again, that first shipment out. What's really interesting that I didn't see coming was when it hits the pharmacies as well, and it hits the hospitals. Then they have to store this vaccine for up to 20 days and keep it at -70. So they need dry ice. And we provided we call it the Aero case. It's like a briefcase, ones behind me, that the pharmacies can use to go out on road trips to long-term care facilities and keep up to 500 doses at whatever temperature they want, which has been helpful. But we heard the need for dry ice at the pharmacies. We said, what do you mean dry ice? Well, we have to find dry ice. There's 1,500 pharmacies in the country right now that have to source their own pellets of dry ice every 3 to 4 days. And I'm telling you, in El Centro, California, there's no dry ice. So I said, well, maybe I can deliver it for you. What do you mean? So I walked across the street and talked to Iris Carbonic, said, how much dry ice can you guys make? And they're like 1,500 pounds an hour. Okay, I'm not sure if that's enough, but I'll get back to you. So I called up, I found out we're gonna need like 100,000 pounds a week. So don't they know a dry ice manufacturer in the center of the country? They know another one in Reno. In a few weeks, we're shipping 100,000 pounds of dry ice a week in boxes we weren't even using, to pharmacies that if they could reach out and give us a hug, they would, because they had no idea what to do. And I like that, because it's not beneath us to ship anything. I mean, okay, we usually ship fancy pharmaceuticals, but the dry ice is just as important. Otherwise, the product is wasted. So I think it's great. Making our customers happy is what we do.
I know it works with craft beer too, right?
It works with many things, yeah.
One of our shared interests.
Right.
So at the moment, you are actually delivering vaccine, the Pfizer.
Well,
vaccine?
you said it, I didn't, but
okay.
maybe.
I got you.
But we're helping deliver vaccines, and and all of the vaccines that are going to long-term care facilities are also in our solutions by the pharmacists, carrying around those cases. And I think that I'm not saying anything that's confidential. It's in the news today. One of the initiatives is to actually ramp up the distribution of vaccines as we speak. So shipping 1,000 to 5,000 doses more frequently to the pharmacies, so that they can get, and more pharmacies are coming online soon. So it's just been CVS and Walgreens to date, but now all of them will be coming on in the next few weeks. And so I think that's pretty exciting for the public. Actually, this is a great vaccine, and they didn't take any chances making it. They actually produced it at the same time they were going through clinical trials, so they were completely at risk, only financial at risk. I feel pretty good about it, and I mean, I'm helping ship it, so I know it's being taken care of during the supply chain.
Yeah, lots riding on its successful delivery too.
Yeah.
So New York's playing a significant role, and you think Pfizer is technically headquartered in New York City. The vials are produced by Corning.
Yeah.
our southern tier neighbor. And many of the delivery vehicles, the boxes that are preserving the temperature, are made right here in Rochester. So there you go. On that note, I want to shift into the what I would call more of our RocGrowth coffee format. Candids and coffee are two of our signature events. And this interviewing and entrepreneurs, the Candids, are what was once an evening event. And coffee is when we give others an opportunity to share and request help from the community. I want to identify Glenn Galbraith. I know he's here. I believe all the others that we've invited and are giving an opportunity are also present. Hopefully they're still present. Glenn, would you share information about Rock Archive with the community? I believe right now we have 96 participants. We broke through 100, Jay. Nice work. And obviously this will be available afterwards when we post it on the site and distribute it as a podcast. But Glenn, are you around?
I am, Richard. Thank you very much for the invite and for letting me speak for a minute. On a regional audio-visual archive, we are a non-for-profit. We just started over the last couple of years, and our focus is collecting, preserving, and making accessible home movies, still images, videos of our regional lives. And aside from this avenue of being able to get together and work on business, this video right now is in itself a piece of history that our mission is kind of looking towards as being important for future. Our collections feature a lot of diversity in film. We have the oldest color version of Yosemite on Kodacolor. We have some 50,000 VHS tapes from the Hyatt collection. And if anyone is familiar with Rochester history or has been here for quite some time, Bob and Bev Hyatt have been running their store since the 60s, which was at Park Lee on Goodman, downtown Rochester. So that is our main goal right now, is to collect and preserve as much film and video. And we think that an investment in the community also comes from investment and support from business investors as well. So if you want to check our website at rockarchive.org, you can see lots of film from the area, can meet all of our team, our trustees, and our advisors. And you can also send us an email at info@rockarchive.org, and we can answer any questions you might have.
That's wonderful. And after all, Rochester is very connected to the visual image.
Yeah, that's how one thing that we look at it first as the image itself as being an important storyteller, but as artifact as well. So the preservation and the networking that we're also looking for here is we work with vendors like City Blue for our printing, and we also work with George Eastman Film Preservation Services to help for larger formats. We also work with Mailstar to do our mailings and support regional businesses, and we think that there's different avenues that we could network. So all of your ideas, if you have any, please send us a message.
Thank you. Rock on. Welcome to our community. Rashad. Is Rashad Cooper Smith present? I saw you earlier. Let's try to.
Rashad Smith is here.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, Rashad. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashad J. Smith. I am a co-founder of Rock Freedom Riders, a social movement for Black lives, for equity, for justice, and very proud of the work that we've done so far. We were founded on Juneteenth 2020, and we've had about maybe 6 rides. We're preparing for our 7th ride, which is a region-wide bicycle ride, where we'll invite folks from Rochester, of course, Buffalo, Syracuse, and maybe Canada, if they can come over and play. But I'm really proud of our work. And so we basically gather bicyclists to enhance, to amplify, to generate more buzz about the messages of the movement for Black lives, about fighting for justice, about demanding equity. And we take these bicyclists to local Black, Indigenous, people of color, BIPOC businesses, and we support these businesses in real time, which was extremely helpful, of course, as we face the consequences. Businesses face those, life or death consequences, really, from the pandemic. So we go into these businesses and we take out our wallets and we're spending cash, we're swiping cards, we're writing checks. All of our bicyclists are doing that to support the movement. This year, because we do want to be more in this activist advocacy space, we have designed a business model that will be able to support the creatives and the advocates around this movement. One of the things that I preach in this movement is that advocates who are in this space, particularly during the 2020 advocacy sway, is they should be supported and they should be compensated for their time, for their resources, for their talents. And I'm very adamant about that message, and I push it every day. And so, of course, we have to also figure out what we should provide for that. Why should we get paid? And so we designed a model where we'll provide services and in the communications industry. So any type of creative communication services, including public relations, publicity, project management, video production, social media management, asset development. And this is particularly for institutions, businesses, organizations, or clubs who have developed some sort of equity and inclusion, diversity and inclusion plan. As you all may know, and maybe even implemented in some of your business ventures, in 2020, so many people dedicated, they understood what was not equal in America in terms of race relations. And so we saw a lot of equity and inclusion plans sort of rise up or amp up a little. We saw people making promises to fight for justice and to support that movement. And so we said, all right, well, what can we do to support these businesses who have made these promises? So for one, we want to hold them accountable for their promises. And for two, we want to be able to support them if they need help determining how they can support equity and inclusion initiatives. And so these are some of the things that we'll be doing in 2021, including workshops for businesses. We have a massive team of creatives. A part of our movement is also employing BIPOC creatives. And we are really interested in supporting maybe some of you in this move. But this is not just a local movement. We have been invited to Los Angeles this year to lead this movement and to follow that. We have also are in conversations about doing exactly this in Washington, D.C. But we're also having conversations about making sure that we're safe when doing it amid all of what is happening. Very proud.
Rashad,
Yes.
I want you to put your links in the chat box, because there's a lot of interest in what you're saying, so that they
look, Rich, you brought me on here to sell it. I'm selling it. So yes, at the end of this, I'm surely going to provide those contacts, right? So I'll wrap it up. Very proud of the work that we are doing. I am hoping that many of you in here with eyes on me can serve as allies to support this movement. This is a movement that looks through the lens of the original Freedom Riders, and our motto is we ride to pay homage to the original Freedom Riders, and we tell people to Google it and to understand the work of the Freedom Riders, a group of Black and white people who were fighting for the same reasons. And so if you would like to learn more about Rock Freedom Riders, if you would like to support our services, if you have an equity and inclusion plan that you want to track and make sure that you're doing the right thing, we are here to support you. You can go to www.rockfreedomriders.com, rock, R-O-C, www.rockfreedomriders.com. We are also accessible on all social media platforms. We would love to connect with you. We would love to have a discussion with you to see how we can help you advance your equity and inclusion plans. Thank you very much.
Super. I think back in June or July, we did an event where, you know, after all of the energy in the streets and how do we actually convert that interest, the engagement into action? And we're here to support you, Rashad, and the work you and your team are doing. I know a bunch of our organizing committee has shown up at the same rides without, you know, Chris Cooley and others, Andrew Brady and Tom. And thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Richard, for your support. It's certainly appreciated.
Christina Lopez. Christina from Boundless Connections, a big supporter of ours. Are you out there?
Hi there.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm here. So I hope that everybody will reach out to me. I'm going to put some information in the chat so you know how to do that. We are closing the digital divide today, both economically, racially, and generationally. There's a lot of different divides out there. So we have a technology center at Sibley Square. And once COVID is open, it'll be available to people 24/7. We are basically marrying what people are interested in with the tech that's available for that and helping them be innovative of how they would use that in their business. If you think of any business, if every employee was tech savvy, how much that would change that business or that community. So we also work with a nonprofit who has made scholarships available for anybody who can't afford our pricing because tech is expensive. So we are looking for people who are interested in joining our programs, but also investors and partners, and to be setting up Rochester as the flagship because we do plan to blitz scale and go nationwide. So it's a very unique way of approaching the digital divide by providing access to everyone to the best of the best.
Awesome. Thank you. Another great transplant arrives in Rochester. Thanks for choosing to launch this initiative here. And you're right in the Sibley building, which is just stunning. So do we have Dr. David Paul? MD doctor. I saw you here.
I'm here.
All right. Let me just show you what I'm wearing. Whoops.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Richard, thank you very much. I'm David Paul, founder of Bold and Gritty. We're a coffee-focused lifestyle brand that tells the story of Black male success. I'm a neurosurgeon. I love a good cup of coffee, and I love a great story. So what's the story of Bold and Gritty? Well, Bold and Gritty was basically born out of a couple conversations that happened last year. The first of which was when a friend came to me and he told me that I was the grittiest person that he had ever met. And naturally, I was flattered. So I went home, I told my wife, and that started a conversation about what are the qualities of successful people? What makes them bold? What makes them gritty? And we started to look around us and we recognized that we had a lot of friends who had been very successful, people who had just kind of risen as leaders in their field. And one of the common things that they all had in common is that they were African-American men who had just overcome tremendous obstacles, and their stories had never been told. Many of them were just as bold, if not bolder than myself. And so our company was started from the desire to tell their stories. And so we offer highly specialized coffee that's roasted right here in Rochester, New York. And we serve it to individuals as we build an audience who is conscious about the conversations that they have around that cup. With each purchase from us, we provide you a story of one of these successful individuals who has just risen against all odds. And here in Rochester, we're looking to expand our distribution. As a Black-owned coffee company here in Rochester, we're looking to expand our distribution to corporate clients and individuals here. So, you know, if you're interested in a great cup of coffee, if you're interested in hearing the stories of some really bold and gritty people, you can check us out online, www.boldandgritty.com. We're available on all social media platforms, and I'd love to be able to serve your coffee needs.
If you want a testimonial, let's see. Yeah. Not a surprise that a product produced by a neurosurgeon is that fine. This is attention to detail. This coffee is great, and I'm not being paid to do this. So thank you for taking time out of your day to share this with us. So Jay, let's in our remaining minutes, I want to ask you how we can help you or AeroSafe Global, how we as a community, if there are job openings. A sidebar for a moment, I see in the chat box someone was bold enough and perhaps even gritty to put out there that they're available for work. They're a software developer. Maybe we could foster some of these creative collisions virtually through the chat if people feel comfortable. But Jay, yeah, like how can Rochester, how can the region, do you have job openings, or just share something if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I guess the first thing, I didn't get a chance to thank one of my investors from New York City, within New York State, Hamilton Lane. These guys are unbelievable. As a lot of people might know, they have a keen interest in Rochester, and to no surprise. But and it was you that introduced me to them, by the way. So just getting it out in the community, I always find it interesting, worthwhile. I wrote down a bunch of stuff today that I have to check out just from your other speakers. Fascinating things going on right in the community I had no idea about. Embarrassed to say I'm heads down too often. So I appreciate you having me on. We're always looking for good people. We're expanding again and have a ton of stuff to do in the next. I hope it's short term. I really hope that in 3 months we're all over this. And it'd be nothing better. But in the meantime, I'm happy to help with whatever it takes to get rid of this COVID.
Cool. Chris Cooley, my partner.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Richard. I have a spin-off of that question. I've seen Jay. Thank you for being here, and I've seen some questions come in, and I've sort of boiled them down into a spin-off of Richard's question here. Are there other applications for your technology, spin-offs or startup opportunities that would help AeroSafe grow? So, the questions were kind of coming in like, how long do you expect to be in the vaccination delivery business, and where does that pivot? And I realize it might be looking into a crystal ball, but can you elaborate on that maybe a little bit? Well,
like I said, when this happened, everyone just kind of shut down for a few weeks, but then we all had to sort of pick ourselves up and get busy again. And I would say that because of that, we've accelerated our plans by at least 18 months. So we did not plan to be this big or this global this fast, but it was just unprecedented time. So we sort of had to make it happen. I hope this goes away in 3 months. I mean, we've got enough other non-COVID business I'm fine with, but it's really taking care of our customers' regular sort of medicines and vaccines that have to go out every day. But now we're capable of doing it globally like never before. We're always asked, what else can you ship? How come you're not doing ice cream or wine, or if Richard doesn't ask me about beer once a week, I don't know. But in all of those things are exciting and interesting. It's just, again, limited capacity and focus. Maybe someday we get into those other things. Right now, it's really focused on biopharma.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to sort of summarize some of the questions that were coming in. So
Sure.
That's all I have on this end. Thank you.
In the chat, John Gavigan is asking David Paul for his email address. I think his personal or whatever, or bold and gritty, yeah. So just facilitating a creative collision here. So
thank you, Richard.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. John, could we unmute John for a moment? I mean, we have a few minutes. I just want to put you on the spot and share.
John's been unbelievable for AeroSafe Global, by the way. John and Alan out at Endeavor in Buffalo. I see you, John, smiling. Unfortunately,
So
if you
proud of you, buddy. So proud of you.
stop talking. So
John, yeah, what is Endeavor? People should know the presence of Endeavor in our region.
We support local entrepreneurs with access to global resources, very influential global resources. And Jay McHarg's one of our Endeavor entrepreneurs. We're so proud of him. We're helping him accelerate his growth and impact on Rochester through access to talent, mentorship, access to new markets globally, and potentially even new funding sources. So anything that we can do to help entrepreneurs like Jay McHarg, the guys at Squire Technology, the gentleman over at Sweetwater Energy, anything we can do to help these entrepreneurs create better and bigger opportunities in Rochester and Buffalo, that's what we're all about. We focus on scale ups, not necessarily startups. So companies that have kind of crossed the chasm and dangerous and murky waters of the startup environment and have gotten to the point where they're really scaling their revenue and impact in the local community. That's who we end up supporting with access to global resources. We've been around for 25 years. We opened an affiliate office in Western New York at the beginning of last year. And Jay is one of our first 7 entrepreneurs selected from this region to have access to this very influential and prominent network. So he referenced blitzscaling before. That's actually Reid Hoffman's book, and Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, happens to be on our board. So you can glean some level of idea of who is connected in this network and how these people care about entrepreneurs and want them to succeed, to create jobs, wealth, and inspiration in their communities globally. So Jay, we're super proud of you and your impact and what's happening in a very timely issue. And anybody that's interested in our services, please feel free to reach out to Alan Rosenhock and myself. We love Rochester and Buffalo and the Western New York community. Richard and Chris, thanks for what you're doing as well.
Well, thank you. Another great asset that is invisible to the entire region. So I'm glad we highlighted it and had this opportunity. On that note, we're wrapping up the hour. We want to be punctual. I want to identify Zara Ali, who's here. She's our, can we call you an intern? Is that how it's going to play out on your resume one day or your LinkedIn profile? Thank you for Zara. Zara has been pitching in while she's on gap year before she starts at NYU in the fall. We have Tom Myers. Tom, you may want to say something, but let's reserve that for a moment. We have Josh Krager, who's another valuable member of the team and the producer of something called Rochester Open Coffee Club. And please put a link in the chat box if people are interested in participating in that virtual coffee session, which are held every Wednesday morning. And then Andrew Brady is probably somewhere out there in this crowd, which is still in the 80s. We're in the mid 80s. So Andrew has been very helpful through the last year when we transformed into virtual RocGrowth. So Tom, is there something you want to share with the group or you too?
I would like to say that we realize that not everyone can be available right at the times, right at the noon hour or the whatever hour we happen to have our events. One of the things that we have always done is provide videos for this. So after this is done, in the next week, we will have the videos posted. It'll be posted, notified on social media, probably on an email and everything. But we want to even make this content even more accessible to you. So we are starting the RocGrowth podcast. All of our previous content will be put up on it. This audio for this event will be the first one that we will advertise, but you will be seeing regular updates on older our shows. So look forward to it. It'll be on all your favorite podcast channels.
Thank you. And I'll tell you, we bootstrap. We have, this is all done volunteer on a volunteer basis from the passion and the love we feel for the community. One final remark before we depart. We do not have an event date yet, but we are planning to team up with Startup Grind, Mike Thaney and his team, and co-producing the next pitch battle. And that should be in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So stay tuned. If you're attending this and you registered, you'll be on our email distribution list. We promise not to clutter your inbox, and spread the word, whether you have a social media platform of choice that you use. And please stay healthy. Use discretion, a mask, social distance. Stay healthy, because we want to see you upright at the next event, and hopefully thanks in not a small part to Aerosafe Global and Jay, we'll all be vaccinated within short order. So have a wonderful afternoon, and Happy New Year again. Bye.
Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you, Jay. And someone wrote in the chat, "Go Bills." So that too. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Great job, guys.